a spring which is down at the Kidron. If you look down, you can see like walls and rubble. Can you see that down there? Down there. Down there is a spring that was called the spring of Gihon or the spring of Siloam. They have a stronghold that they built over the spring, but it was a small spring, so there was no opportunity for that village to grow and to be a city. It is not located on an ancient highway. This is why it was not that important. But the importance of Jerusalem started when, the book of the 2nd Samuel, King David, he came, he took the Jebusite fortress, which is the stronghold of Zion. This is what was the name. Then he purchased, he paid money to purchase a threshing floor, which was north of the city. So the city is down, okay? He purchased a threshing floor that was north of the city, that was belonged to a person that his name was Arnona the Jebusite. By the way, this is the only case in the Bible that King David, he paid money. All the time it was easy for him by the sword. But why he purchased that place? Because he wanted that place to be free. Because at their time, we are speaking about the year 1004 BC, they believe that that specific place, the threshing floor, where near the Golden Dome, it is the place where Father Abraham, he came to sacrifice his son Isaac. So he brought the Ark of the Covenant, and at that point, Jerusalem started to be known as the city of God. Now, King David, he was not allowed to build the temple. God didn't allow him because his hands covered with blood. But his successor, the peaceful king, the wise king, King Solomon, he was the one to build the temple at Jerusalem. And we started to know about the Solomonic temple, which is the first temple, where the Holy of the Holies of that temple, it used to be over the threshing floor, which is instead of the Golden Dome. Now really we don't know where exactly, the exact measurements of the first temple, which is the Solomonic temple. But a power came from Babylon. The Babylonians, they came and they destroyed the temple in 587 BC. They took the treasures of the temple and they took the Jews to exile to Babylon. 40 years passed. A wise king came to Babylon, that his name was Cyrus. Cyrus, he gave the right to the Jews to come back to rebuild their temple. In the Bible, we have the two books of Nehemiah, and Ezra, that speaks about this specific period. Because Nehemiah was the governor, Ezra was the high priest. So they came and they built or rebuilt the temple. They finished building that temple in 516 BC. Started to be known as Second Temple. Another power came from the west in the 1st century BC, which is the Romans. And the Romans, when they reached here, they found that it is very difficult to control these people. They don't know the language, the religion, so all the time they will fight. So they were smart enough to admit that they don't know anything. So they found one of them. He knows them, he knows how to speak with them. He will show his loyalty to Rome. So he will rule them. In case of any problem, we have one head to kick. So they found that famous name, King Herod the Great. Now we have the bad face of this man in the Bible. He's that king that he sent his soldiers to kill and to slaughter the babies of Bethlehem. But in archaeology and in history, he is considered to be the great builder of Palestine at that time. He did many projects, many fortresses. One of his most important projects that he started to solve the problem of water of Jerusalem by bringing water from south of Bethlehem through aqueducts to Jerusalem. He started to arrange pools and he started to enlarge the temple of Jerusalem for the Jews. Not because he loves the Jews, because he was not a pure Jew in the eyes of the Jew, because his mother, she was an Edomian Arab. That her family, they were converted by force during the time of the Hasmoneans. If you remember, we spoke about the Maccabees and the Hasmoneans in the 2nd century BC. So they were looking, the Jews, they were looking at the Idumeans that they are half Jews. So all the time he had to try to gain their hearts in order not to revolt against him. So he enlarged the temple. That temple, it is the temple whenever in the New Testament it is mentioned the temple, this is the temple that Jesus he saw, which is the Herodian temple. That this temple, it stayed at that place, somewhere there, until it was destroyed in the year 70 AD by the Romans under Titus. The only remains. It is one of the retaining walls from the west side, which is started to be known as the Western Wall, Wailing Wall, where we were yesterday. Now this entire place became a place of garbage. Jews, they were not allowed to come to pray here. The Romans, they didn't allow them, especially during the second Jewish revolt that we spoke about, which is in the year 132, that was ended by Hadrian in 135. And he didn't allow any single Jew to live in all the region of Judea, so no Bethlehem, no Jerusalem. They started to live at Galilee, right? Now, the place was abandoned. During the Christian period, in the 3rd century, when officially in the 4th century Queen Helena, she started to come to build churches as we mentioned earlier. So she built the Holy Sepulchre Church, which is over Golgotha, if you remember, and the Tomb of Christ, and it was outside the city. So she built the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. If you look to the right of the Golden Dome, you will see 2 grey domes, small one and large one. Can you see that? Now the small one, it is over Golgotha. The large one, it is over the Tomb of Resurrection, which is the Holy Tomb of our Lord Jesus, which is the Holy Sepulchre Church. We have to protect it.
Small one.
Behind the Golden Dome to the right, the small dome, which is over Golgotha. The bigger grey dome behind, it is over the tomb. 2 domes. To the right of the Golden Dome.
This
In
side.
front. Okay. So
front.
they became inside the city. And we visited the Holy Sepulchre Church. We were there, right? Now Christians as well, they didn't build anything here. Why? Because for Christians at that time, building churches, it was to commemorate an event in the life of Jesus, a miracle in the life of Jesus. But we are not worshipping stones. So why to rebuild the temple again? Jesus, he was at the temple when he was asked to pay the tax. And his response was very diplomatic, but very straight. As well, when Jesus, they told him, or he told them, I can destroy this temple, and I can rebuild it in 3 days, they were laughing on him. They told him, it has 46 years to build this temple. But he was speaking about the temple of his body, not the stone temple, because we are not worshipping stones. And this is what the early Christians, they noticed. Now it continued to be a place of garbage till the coming of Islam. When Muslims, they arrived, they came under the leader of the leadership of the successor of Prophet Muhammad. His name was Umar bin al-Khattab, Omar. The Muslim army, they camped at that mountain over there. And they made a siege around Jerusalem. The siege lasted 1 year, 7 months. At Jerusalem, we used to have a bishop that his name was Sophronius. Bishop Sophronius and the Christians, they were fighting like the nest of eagles. And this is what Omar, he mentioned. But on the other side, Sophronius, he don't know who are these people coming. So he started to ask, who are our enemies? They started to tell them, Islam, Muslims, a new religion. So he started to join some information, and he was told that Muslims, they believe in Our Lady, Mother Mary. There is a chapter, she's the only woman to be mentioned in that book of Quran. They believe that she gave birth to Jesus as a virgin. She lived as a virgin, she died as a virgin. Wow. There is some miracles which is mentioned in the Quran, which is not mentioned in our Bible. Like Jesus, when he was just a newborn baby, going out from the womb of his mother, he spoke. This is, we have it in the tradition of the church, but not in the Bible. In Islam, it is written. So, they believe that Jesus, Prophet Isa, he ascended to heaven. So what we are doing? So he sent a messenger to Omar telling him, look Omar, if you really know what's Islam, you should not shed blood. Why you are coming with the sword? Come, I will give you the keys of Jerusalem. Come, we will live in peace. They met, the two leaders, near Jaffa Gate, where we passed. Omar, he received the keys from Sophronius, and they entered. Omar, he wants to show respect for Sophronius. So he went to visit the holiest Christian site, which is Jerusalem, the tomb of Jesus, Golgotha. Now notice this problem. In Islam, they don't believe that Jesus, he was the one to be crucified to die, which is our faith as Christians. But Omar, he came to the Holy Sepulchre Church, and he went inside, but it was a time for prayer for Muslims. So he asked Sophronius, I want to pray. Where can I pray? Sophronius told him, you are my guest. Pray at the church. Omar, he told me no. If today I pray at your church, maybe next generations, they will change your church to be my mosque. They will not understand the real Islam. They will not understand the real relation between Christians and Muslims. So I pray outside. He went and he prayed outside. And this is how it became a tradition. Whenever there is a biblical church, a mosque should be built in front. And this is what we saw all places, right? To remember that wisdom of Omar. Now after that, they started to live together. Omar, he gave what's called the Uhde Umariyya. The Uhde Umariyya, which is the Treaty of Omar, which is giving the right of freedom of worship for all Christians that they exist at Jerusalem at his time, from the Copts, the Syrians, all the denominations, that they can pray, they can hold their crosses, they are protected. Muslim neighbor should protect his Christian neighbor. Christians, you should pay jizya, tax. Now it continued. Then Muslims, they came and they built the two shrines. The Dome of the Rock, which is over the rock, where it is believed by Islam to be the place where Prophet Muhammad, he ascended to heaven. And Al-Aqsa Mosque, that was built in 701, which is, according to Islam, there is the night journey of Prophet Muhammad, where he reached to the place which is called the Al-Aqsa Mosque, in the feast of the Isra and Mi'raj. So they identify Jerusalem to be the place of that Aqsa, which is the farthest mosque that Prophet Muhammad reached. Now from that time, that area became the holiest and the third holy city in Islam after Mecca and Medina. Now, sometimes I can tell you that as the upper part is the holiest Muslim shrine, the other side is the holiest Jewish shrine. So sometimes all problems will start from here. Okay? And this is what's happening in this last news and weeks. Now, what we will see from here, you will look down, you can see the double wall, double gates. That gates, it used to be open. At Jesus' time, it was called the Beautiful Gate or the Mercy Gate, which is the gate of the first coming. When Jesus, he came to Jerusalem, he entered through that gate. We are waiting for his second coming, when he will come in glory. He should come through this gate. Which gate? The sealed one.
This is the one?
Yes, the sealed one. Now, from here, what you can see as well, if you look up top, you can see the tower of the Dormition, the house of Our Lady, where we were. Okay, down there. Yeah. To the left of it, you can see a minaret and a dome to the left, which is the room of the Last Supper and the traditional tomb of King David. We were there.
Yesterday.
Yes, we were yesterday. You will go down at the slopes of the mountain, you will see a massive white building with a grey dome and a grey tower. This is the house of the High Priest Caiaphas. We were there yesterday. Now we'll continue to go down from here after the Mass to the Garden of Gethsemane.
There is the garden?
Down.
Gethsemane garden.
Okay? And here you can see the onion domes. These onion domes, it is called a Russian church. Typical Macedonian church was built in 1983 by Kaiser Philip of Russia to commemorate his death, the death of his mother. So he called the church after the saint of his family, Mary Magdalena. It has nothing to do with Mary Magdalena, just the name. We will pass near that church in order to go down to the Garden of Gethsemane. So now we will